only a spotlight put on black people, and it comes from the self-hatred of black people. And I think somebody brought this up earlier. It's really up to y'all. Y'all allow other groups of people to identify you by the degenerate shit. And I blame all of y'all. It's like we don't have conversations about the progressive black people in America. When I bring that type of stuff up, I get kicked out of rooms. We don't. It's like he brought up about the crime in the black cities. Well, around every major city, there are black suburban cities without no crime. We don't like to talk about this stuff. We don't like to talk about all the black business owners, our black millionaires, our successful black people. That falls on y'all. Y'all are victims of media propaganda just as much as.
Your phone breaking up, big dog. Your phone breaking up.
Conscious, you're in the matrix. Hold on, conscious, you're in the matrix, but wait to your point. I've heard black men say that sagging started in the prisons from the guys who were advertising who was giving up that ass. They did a whole documentary on it. The black man said he wanted the booty, and he knew who was giving up the booty because they had the sagging pants. I didn't know about the skater culture, but continue.
Sagging may come from skater culture. That's more of a myth.
But also, why not then it continues sagging?
Hold on a second. So, Conscious, who is next? Let's get the cue rolling.
Yeah, just real quick. It came from prison because a lot of times they had dudes and no belts, so the pants naturally sagged, and then it became a symbolization of who's willing to give up the ass. That was that. Just like putting the tongues down and shit on boots and shoes. Like, because a lot of those prisoners had like Chuck Taylor style shoes. Put the flipping the tags, the tongues down and shit. So it didn't come from skater culture. It came from prison.
All right, give me 30 seconds. Sagging didn't really hit our community until really like the early 90s. So it couldn't have come from prison culture because how long have we been in the prison system? It came from skater culture, from the baggy pants. We didn't even have baggy pants in the 80s. The baggy pants that started coming into the 90s with the wide legs. It came from skater culture.
So that's not true because if you look at skateboard culture, look at the 80s, 90s, like Rodney Mullen. Rodney Mullen was a prominent skater. Let's look up the name Rodney Mullen. You'll see the styles that came from skaters. They typically wore really tight shorts and tight pants back in the 80s. So before and I know what you're talking about, conscious like the Jankos and shit like that, that came after. But skaters typically wear baggy pants until like the mid to late 90s, early.
Yeah, that's hold on, real quick. Hold on, real quick. So, as somebody that came from the skater culture, I can tell you that what Sig is saying is correct. Initially, people were wearing clothing that you wanted the proper shoes. You wanted clothing that would fit well. The sagging of the pants came around almost like the early to mid 90s, and there was a mix of music that skaters started listening to that they didn't listen to previously. It was a mix of punk rock, thrash music, as well as gangster rap, and so there was a lot of different influences that started coming in. And so that was when the attire started changing, and that's also when a lot of the really popular skaters started getting into corporate sponsorships, and you started seeing a lot less of the street skates. And this is what to bring skateboarding back into popularity. That's when cities started passing ordinances to like build skate parks and things of that nature. When I was skating, you couldn't skate anywhere. Like you were the outlaw, you were the rebel. If you had to skateboard anywhere, they wanted to confiscate it from you. So there's a long history of that, but I think just like anything, there's multiple origin stories. We talked about how prison culture, there's a connotation there. Skaters absolutely in the early and mid 90s wore saggy pants, and then there's many people since then that have done that. In my neighborhood, the initial sagging pants came from the fact that I had a brother that was 14 months older than me. He was bigger than me. He would wear his pants, and then when he would wear them out, I would get his pants. I was raised by my grandparents. They didn't have a ton of money, and so they weren't buying new clothes if they didn't have to. The clothes that they bought for him would become my clothes. That's how sagging happened in my.
Hey Mojo, thank you for that contribution.
30 seconds, please. Just 30 seconds.
Go ahead, Con.
Yeah, and so what y'all just said, it still proves my point, because the point that I made is that sagging didn't hit the black community until the 90s, and it drifted over from the skater culture. We didn't have baggy pants.
That's not what
The baggy pants came from That's exactly what I said. I said it didn't hit the black community until the 90s. It came from the skater culture. We didn't have the baggy pants. The baggy pants came from the skater culture. Thank you for proving.
Hey, look, Mojo acknowledged question.
Yeah.
Because black people ratchet and ghetto, right? This is what they say. Let me know if you can hear me. See, I'm good, right?
You good, family?
What was the problem when niggas was sitting on the bus? Hold on a second. What was the problem when black people were well behaved and it was a minister called Martin Luther King when black people would march on Selma? What was the problem when black people would minding their business and the churches would still get bombed? What was the problem then? Now you got a bunch of kids who saying, fuck that. I ain't my ancestors. Then you got me fucked up. I ain't sitting on the back of the bus. I'm not being well behaved. You know why I'm saying this here? Because even when black people were well behaved, man, I want to eat with you, bro. Nah, this for whites only. Man, I want to drink with you. This water fountain for white folks only. Even when black folks was minding their business, we still wasn't loved. We still wasn't appreciated. Little girls were still getting bombed in churches in Birmingham when black people were doing nothing. So at some point, you just don't like black folks. Because what I'm saying, CO, I'm not saying that Keegan is lying. I'm saying I can show you the flip side of the coin, where black people were on their best behavior. CO, and we still got lynched. We still got hung. CO, the churches were still bombed. So what's the problem now? CO,
Well,
it's going to always be a problem as long as you black. Wake up, bro. Listen, Keegan can get up here and talk. The way he talks, he can talk at the job. Listen to me, T.O. The way he talks, he can talk at the job. Now listen, shout out to Steve, because I know he want to coon all day. Check me out, C.O. That was passed where black women could wear their natural hair to the workplace. Tell me that black people don't have to code switch at work to make white people feel more comfortable. Huh? And you still won't get the promotion. Not over the white girl. Not over the white man, you won't get the promotion. Even if you well behaved, you still a nigga in the coop. That's all I'm saying.
Go.
Cat Williams said if it's nappy, white folks aren't happy. Go ahead.
Yeah, mine.
If Sid caught that straight, he needs to respond.
Yeah, I mean, he called it but
Go ahead.
everybody's got a code switch, bro. When you go to work, they make you wear a uniform that they dictate you have to wear. You know, not everybody wants to put on their hot dog hat, you know, when they're working at Happy Hot Dog World, and look like a goofball. But everybody's got a code switch. You have to adhere to the uniform and the rules of how that company wants you to dress. So it's not just black people, bro. It's everybody.
Bro, I'm not talking about code switch like the outfit. Listen, what I'm saying is,
Is it a mod
you talk on the
conversation or
stage
the
to me.
guest allowed to speak too?
Go ahead. Hey, yeah, yo, Sid. I'm saying the way Keegan talks on the stage, he can be confident enough to talk at work like that. I noticed that a lot of black people, when they go to work, they feel like they got to put on a white voice. Because the truth is, if they talk black or more urban, the white person is going to feel less comfortable. Sid, listen to me, bro. We got to be real at some point. I never worked a real job in my life, Sid, but I see it. I see how my girl from the west side of Atlanta, Bankhead, she got to pick up the phone and talk like a white girl. She really don't talk like that, my dog. I see how the Crown Act says the black girl can't, she needed a law to wear her natural hair to work, see? Like, it's a problem going on outside, see? So I get what you're saying, brother. I love you. My bad. I shouldn't be disrespecting you. Attack the point, not the person.
Wait, Tori wants to get in there too, CO. Tori wants to get.
And then I'll go after Tori.
Yeah, so I heard the person say, "Is this a mod conversation?" We went back and forth. We tried to spread the mic around. I'm sure that's what Mojo and JB would want. Hey, Tori, I did want to respond to them because you did mention me, but I'll let you go ahead because I think you probably got a point. No, Tori, go ahead. Can you make your submission?
No, go ahead, Tori. We want to hear you. You got a beautiful voice. Your voice sounds better than CO's voice. Go ahead.
Yeah, it does. Go ahead, Tori.
Say, other than I know you weren't speaking to the uniform of code switching, right? It's about the mere uncomfortableness that white people have with black existence, right? And that's what I think you're speaking to, King, especially in the workplace.
Yeah.
Right? You as a black woman cannot be quiet around a bunch of white women because they see you as a threat. Oh, why isn't she talking, right? There have been women who are wrote up in HR, right, because she's too quiet, right? The manager said to her, how about you be more relatable? How about you, talk a little bit more? Why? Why does my existence make you uncomfortable, right? And so I think that's kind of what you're speaking to about the having to appease and please them. Fuck that. I don't want to talk today, and that's just what the fuck it is. But this is what black women and black men go through in the workplace, having to deal with white women, especially, right? I think that white women are the most exhausting group of women when it comes to working with them, and it's unfortunate.
And I'm sure, Tori, you don't mean. Hey, and Tori, I'm sure you don't mean every white woman, but in the context of who you're describing.
Majority. I'll say majority.
See, here he go trying to clean it up. See, you the problem. See, let her cook.
No,
You trying to clean it up and shit.
No, hold on a second, though. King, I'm keeping.
Man, I'm playing with you, man. Shut up.
I know you are, but let me underscore this point on the serious note, man. I'm not trying to be funny or nothing, though. And I told one of the people that me and you just talked about this at one point, King, and we'll get into some offline about this, man. But we literally, sometimes people might disagree with me. We have to make sure that we understand, especially when we're talking about political politics and policy and government and regulations and laws. We have to understand, man, it's a real numbers game. We live in a representative democracy such that when you send your representative to Congress, they have a vote. And these things matter, who they choose as judges, who they choose to run different departments, right? Who they choose to be the head of law enforcement, so forth and so on. So I think we have a responsibility not to continue alienating people who are allies of us. So for whatever it's worth, you know what I'm saying, white women aren't my issue. There's a certain mindset within that culture that might be socialized a specific way. So I just don't like saying stuff as white people this or black people this. So I'm going to push back on Keegan anytime he says black people. And I have to push back on us when we describe stuff as white people. White people, you said it yourself. That's not my problem. I rock with white people. It's just people with the mindset that's Keegan that are unrepentant and unredeemable sometimes that don't want to evolve when they hear the new information. Those are the people who I have a problem with. I have a problem with ignorant ass people. So if you think that a black woman coming into the workplace speaking a language and wearing her hair is inconvenient and uncomfortable for the workplace, then I got a problem with your ignorant ass, whatever color you in. That's my point. Who's next?
Wait, hold on, Theo. I think Cray wants. Wait, who's that? Mrs. Clark. Okay, hold on. I know Cray wanted to go, but let me just say this before we give it to Cray and then Mrs. Clark. Let me just say this really quickly to Tori's point, because I saw some people in the chat kind of mocking, making fun of what she said. She's spot on. As silly and as ridiculous as that may have sound to some people, every black woman who's worked in corporate America would likely agree with this. We've all been on that receiving end, including myself, where you come to work and do your job, and when it's time for your performance report, you're hit with, are you angry? Are you mad? Because you don't talk. And they don't mean we don't talk in the sense that we're not a team player, right? We're team players. We know how to coexist with our colleagues and contribute to the assignments and the tasks. But the fact that we sit there at our desk and silently do our jobs, I've been working since I'm 14. When I became, moved to LA and started working in the corporate world at various studios and production companies, every time I had a performance report, high praises for my job and what I was doing, but I was always hit with, what's wrong? You're so quiet. And of course I can't say bitch because I'm doing my work. What the fuck you want me to do? There's this idea that for some odd reason it's threatening for a black woman to just sit in her peace, don't be a problem at work, just do the job they hired you to do, and go home. If we're not talking and cackling and at the water cooler gossiping, then there's a problem. Then they have to make a note of that in the performance review. And CO, to your point, I know he's on the phone. I can't say that this is a white issue, but all my bosses have been whites, and they're the ones who bring it up. So, I'm not going to blame white people, but they're the seniority. They're the ones, overseeing these positions and these performance review talks, and they're the ones who are like, listen, we've observed that you're not talking and you're not kiki and kaka and TT, and what's wrong, sis? You got an attitude? Is there a problem? No, bitch. I'm just here to work. Pay me my money, sign that check so I can go home. Thank you very much.
Point taken.
Go ahead.
No, you got it. Who is it? Craig, then?
Yeah.
Craig, then Miss Clark, I think?
Yeah, I think T wanted to speak before me,
Okay,
and I saw her come off the mic first, so I want her to
Praise,
speak, and then I'll speak
then
after.
Ms. Clark. Let's.
Oh, no, you good, girl. You got it. You got it, girl. Okay.
Go ahead, Craig.
Okay. So yeah, I definitely do agree with Nye, because I definitely hear that a lot. I think two things kind of can be existent at the same time. I know with that bill that did pass in California, that was a big thing. I'm from California, so I definitely remember how big that actually was. So that definitely is true. I just think that for some people to kind of talk about corporate America, and they said admittedly that they've never had a real job, I don't think that some of these people should be talking about what goes on in corporate America when you've never even worked a real job before, because you're not even affected by that. Like you're not affected by that. If you've even had a real job, you would even have to understand that when you go to a real job, you can't conduct yourself a certain way. You have to fit within the norms of that job, and you can't act the way how you would typically want to act.
Craig, who are you?
Yes. Now,
who are you referring to with the real job part?
King. He said in his rant that he had never worked a real job.
Yeah, I don't think you understand the context of what King was saying. He's speaking something different. But go ahead with your point.
Yeah, and I would like to respond. See, but I want you to respond for me. So,
go ahead, Craig.
Yeah, because I don't know, when someone said they never worked a real job and they talk about what's going on in the job world, it's just kind of fascinating.
Hey, Craig, you're missing the point. Craig King is a boss. He's hired people. So he's just saying he has to work in a traditional job in a traditional way, but he's hired people. He's probably full-time working twice as much as you. But go ahead with your...
No, not twice as working as me. I travel for a living. I travel for my job.
Oh, dude, no disrespect, man.
So I would like to
because I definitely do very great. I travel. On top of that, I'm a military veteran. There's a lot of different things about me that I actually do.
Thank you for the
yeah. So I mean, I would never be able to be in the same position as a king.
Hey, Craig, let's give you 30 seconds.
No, but I'm done. But go ahead.
Okay, so
if he was a steward until he said he was in the military.
Yeah, and thank you for your service. So I don't have to smoke crack to know the effects. I find it funny that the black men in here that have worked traditional jobs will sit here and coon and act as if the black women are wrong that speak about their experience in corporate America. Even if I did work in corporate America, I wouldn't be a woman in corporate America. But I've been with, but I'm with a woman that's in corporate America. And I empathize with what she goes through. So I get on the stage and I talk about what she went through. And even when his sister began to speak, they laughed at her. She told her experience. Surely she truly goes to work. Surely Nye worked in corporate America. But even as the black queens sit on their throne and begin to speak, look how you discredit them and prove their point. Black men, we have to wake up too. Because you work there, but you won't talk about what goes on, will you? Because you don't have the heart. But shout out to you and thank you for your service.
And I think that...
I said that black women didn't go through that?
No, hold on a second. Craig, hold on a second. Let's go to Ms. Clark. We'll come back to you, Color. Go ahead, Ms. Clark.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you hear me clanking, it's because I'm cooking like a mid-afternoon breakfast with family. It goes beyond just corporate America, too. I was in the military. Quite literally, when I first got to my first duty station, when I did my 6-month evaluation for my PTR, like just getting there, that little initial thing, I got docked on my ETR because I was not social. And quite literally, my sergeant stood there and said, it's not that you're not nice. It's not that you're not professional. You're an amazing worker. It's just, you do this thing where you come in and you do your work, you speak to people. He was like, don't get me wrong, you speak to people, but you just do your work and you go home. And I'm like, yes, what else do you want me to do? And he's like, well, I just feel like, you could be more giddy, more social. And I'm like, so you want me to focus on interacting with people instead of getting the work done? And he's like, no. I still want you to, just make time. Like, have conversations with people. Like, ask about people's families. Talk to people about your family. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna, I don't know you guys. Like, granted, yes,
I've been here 6 months, but I don't know y'all like that. I'm only in here to work and get my stuff done and go home. It goes well beyond just the corporate. Even when I first got my first job as a cashier, and I was working, one of my evaluation EPRs, they still said the same thing. Oh, you're great. You scan people out. Your scan times are good. We haven't had a single complaint about your customer service. You're really nice. You're really attentive. It's just you don't talk much. You kind of just sit and look at people, and I'm like, yeah, because I'm trying to figure out who y'all are or what you're doing. Like, this is a common thing that Black women go through. Like, it is something that Black women go through where even if, like I said, you can be doing your job to the utmost of your capabilities, they'll still want you to be social. I could be sitting and doing my work, and I distinctly remember times my sergeant would come by and touch me and be like, hey, are you okay? And I would be like, yeah, what's going on? And he'd be like, oh, no, it's just, you're just doing your work. And you're just quiet. And I'm like, yeah, I have headphones in. I'm focusing on getting things done. Is that a problem? He's like, no, it's just, I would have swore you were mad. And I'm like, why would you think that I'm mad? And he was like, well, you're not talking to people. And I'm like, okay, but why would you think I'm mad? I would ask him, is my face tuned up in a weird way? And he's like, no, it's just, you're not talking to people. Like, that was like a literal experience of mine. And it happened so many times.
And Ms. Clark,
So,
I could really quick. Next point. Hold on 1 second. I thank you for your service to the country, Mrs. Clark. I'm so mad that you have to deal with that. But I just got to address a point. There was somebody that put a thumbs down and then a laughter on Ms. Clark while she was telling that story. Is that person on the stage, or does that person want to reveal themselves? Because I really want to know when she was sharing the first part of her lived experience about what she was doing while she's working on defending the country, and what would make somebody put a thumbs down on that? Does that person want to speak? Is that person on stage?
well, look at the remarks in the comments too. It's quite jarring. It's black women are damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. If we're quiet at work and just do our job, then it's a problem. And if we speak, then you're too loud and you have an attitude. It's so strange. Someone in the chat said headphones at work is ghetto. Listen, sometimes you have a job where you have to put on headphones so you can concentrate, especially if you're editing, if you're writing, if you have to transcribe something. Sometimes you're trying to drown out the noise in the background. So now, if your job requires you to put on headphones and you're Black, then it's ghetto. Yeah, and I did transcription. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I work histology. One of the parts of that is transcribing. And that's what the doctors, when they go and they sit at the growth station and they say, hey, today I got a GI specimen that measures 4.3 by 3.2 centimeters. It's easier to have headphones in where you can concentrate on what they're saying than the grainy ass fucking speakers and, the goddamn processor beeping every 20 minutes. Quite literally, they allow us to wear headphones to transcribe. So it's like one of those things where it's like, you're doing your job, and they'll come over and they'll be like, hey, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing. I'm just transcribing Dr. Bronner's shit that he grossed this morning. Like, what's going on? Like, and even in the chat, and I have no problem calling names. Hold on, where you at? Self-control was like, if you don't want to do that, then work at home. If you don't want to interact, work a job at home. My guy, not every job requires you to, like, this is what we say when we say damned if you do, damned if you don't, but these are the people that you work with. Hopefully this person isn't somebody's supervisor. Because as we're saying, it's not that the job's not getting done. It's not even that the job's not getting done well. You're putting out immaculate work, but because they feel like you should be performative for them, it's a problem.
And what's also interesting, and I hate to defend this person, but it kind of reminds me as well about Black men not telling Black women to smile, right? Because the sheer uncomfortableness of your, I guess, just bland face in public is uncomfortable. So I kind of can see where they may have gotten it from, because it all just brought up these different things. Like, I deal with that as well. It was like, Black men, have to smile, and you just not even probably having an attitude. You just probably thinking about something that is showing on your face, and so I think all that shit kind of plays and goes together.
Hold on, really quickly.
Hold on 1 second. Let's get a cue. Who? Go ahead. Who's there?
Let me just say really quickly. Why do we have, to a point that was raised, why do we, when we come to work, and this is for everybody, Black, white, male, female, when we come to work, why do we have to personalize our experience with our coworkers? Why do I give a damn what anybody's personal life is like? Because you know what that does? That opens the door for For them now to expect you to overshare details about your personal life. You know what that does? Leads to office gossip. And you know what that does? Let something about your personal life get back to the manager or HR, then you're distracting, you're disruptive, and you probably will be out the door. People are too judgmental. Why do we have to overshare or even pry about people's personal life at work? Just like they say, keep religion out of the workspace, keep politics out of the workspace. Why do I now have to come to work, do my job, and then check in with my coworkers' psyche in their personal life? Are you okay? What was your life like? What did you eat last night? Where kids going to school? Did you go to church? Nobody gives a fuck. No, and everybody in the chat who thinks y'all don't care. Come up on the stage and tell us the last time you went to work and started a Q&A session with your coworker about their personal life. You don't do it.
Well, here's the thing.
What's wrong with being personal?
You please, and Leroy to the queue. Thank you.
Who wants to jump on the queue?
Yeah, Leroy.
Okay, go ahead. Hold on a second. Let's make sure that we're respecting the ladies while we're on this point. Was there any lady that didn't get an opportunity to add on?
Somebody said quickly, what's wrong with being personal? Describe personal. If I come into the job and say, hey, so-and-so, good morning, how you doing? Did you catch that movie over the weekend? Right? Did you watch the season premiere of that new show? What did you think of the score of that game last night? Above and beyond that, what are we defining as personal in the workspace?
Right. You're basically exposing yourself, your truth. They really what they want to know if the stereotypes are true. They want to know what's going on in your house. Are you a single baby mama? Are you struggling? Because then when they know all that information, they become passive aggressive. Oh, do you need anything? I know you have the kids. And it's just like, no, we're actually well taken care of. They start with this passive aggressive overanalyzing shit. They bring you shit to work, donating canned goods. It's weird how they treat you. So they just want you to overexpose yourself.
It's the prying into they want to know how Tori said, is your husband being faithful to you? You're not ranting about how horrible or anything about your life. If you come to work and you don't really express or tell intimate details of your life, then they're like, why are you not being personal? Because quite literally, like I said, even in my military, when I was in the military, I gave up no personal information about my family. Yeah, you knew I had a mom. Yeah, I would speak on my sister, but that's it. You didn't know anything about the woes that was going on. The most you knew was when my grandmother died, and I said, hey, I got to take off because my grandmother died. I'm not about to tell you, oh, my grandmother's in the hospital because she has 6 hernia sacks and stuff. Like, no.
I love that the people in the comments are triggered because Black women are speaking.
Shout out to Black women speaking. They so beautiful.
Shout out to Black women.
And they got the
people.
They're so triggered that Black women are speaking about their lived experiences, especially on the workplace. Shout out to being triggered.
Shout out to being triggered. And welcome back to the street. I want to say happy birthday to his clubhouse birthday show.
Thank you. You could shout out my Cash App and my body.
Look at that. Shout out to the Cash App and the body. Jake Brooklyn.
How's the say though, Mrs.
And see, that's why we have to go and...
Hold on a second. In the spirit of JD's Cash App and his ladies he's honoring, let's make sure we get one mic. Who is speaking?
Yeah, I just wanted to say real quick, Mrs. Clark, if more employees were just like you, they shut the fuck up, came to work, minded their own business, and did their work, I think a lot of these places of employment will be will be way better. So you would get promoted if you work for my bank.
Can we get some of these ex-cons off the stage? I'd like to say a few things. Clean up the stage.
Oh my God.
Everybody mute up. I haven't said a word to you, fucking retard. But you know what? I'm not only fucking throwing you out, I'm gonna block you, you fucking dummy. Back to you guys.
Can I go next?
Yo, it's funny.
May I go next?
I didn't want to
Absolutely. Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead. Leroy didn't get a voice. As long as the ladies have finished saying what they were saying, I thought that point was important. So did I'm sure Zig King and everybody that's moderated on stage, including JD and Mojo.
Hold on, see, before we get long, what was the brother that said I never worked before, I couldn't speak on it? When the sister spoke, and she's been in the service and everything, I didn't hear a rebuttal of what she was saying. Is he still here?
I don't even remember who that was.
Oh, okay, I don't either.
I know it was Crane. I don't see him in the
Oh, he left. Oh, okay. I appreciate that.
Hey, Leroy, did you have something to add to the combo, my brother? I
ancestors that I would join the universe in making them so proud for what we have accomplished and for what we have become. Juneteenth started in 1865, but in the 1800s, we had tons of black businesses flourishing that service white and black people. Let's go back to 1672. During the period of revolts, we know in Virginia that fugitive slaves and small armed bands raided nearby towns hoping to convince others to join them. 1712 in New York City, slave plot rebellions. Stony South in New York. Why is that important? Because Abraham Lincoln said, I'm only going to free the slaves in the state of rebellion. If I didn't have to free one slave, I wouldn't. Let's go to 1829. Education was fed by slave owners because slaves might read of their natural right. You see, for me this day, I celebrate the black woman and the black man because I want you to know one thing. Don't ever be ashamed of your scars that life has left with you. A scar means the hurt is over and the wound is closed. It means you conquered the pain, learned a lesson, grew stronger, and moved forward. A scar is the tattoo of a triumph to be proud of. Don't allow your scars to hold you hostage. Don't allow them to make you live your life in fear. You can't make the scars in your life disappear, but you can change the way you see them. You can start seeing your scars as a sign of strength and not pain. Stay brave, stay fierce, and remember, your spirit is already free. I just wanted to express that from the sentiments of the ancestors. I want to acknowledge them, acknowledge the ancestors in each and every one of you. And that is the way I want to continue to celebrate Juneteenth. Let's go back and recall a historical moment, like in 1869, when they have, when education in 1869, there has been great progress, right? For the whole colored population called colored people back then, right? So you see, in 1869, we were progressing in education. Schools were flourishing in 1864. Come on now. Shit, fuck these people, man. We got so much to live for.
Hey, for whatever it's worth, good and back and different, let that breathe before y'all put the hate back on it. We're alive to celebrate our day, and that was such a beautiful message. Let that breathe. And seriously, amen for that, though. And if I could, after you make that pit stop, past Brother JB's Cash App, because people committing their time, and time is money. Thank you for hosting the room, JB. Thank you for your addition to me learning who you are, Mojo. But also, after you guys make that pit stop by his Cash App, man, stop by and Google Leroy Campbell, man, because hey, don't put me out there, Leroy, but Leroy, I have his art on my wall. He's one of the most prolific artists of the culture of the world, and his art speaks to this existence and this reality. And I just think he's been an incredible human being, just through and through.
Wait, is that the Leroy that's on stage?
The Leroy that's on stage is a world-renowned...
I had no idea. I've spoken to this man 50 times. Good dude.
Leroy is nothing but the truth, JB. I literally have his art on a wall in one of my rooms and have met him several times on a cruise that we frequented for whatever that's worth, man. So, mad respect for you, Leroy. Hey, Leroy, I'm going to inbox you. I actually tried to find an old number that I had and text you when I saw you on the app last time, brother. But thank you for being who you already are, always been, man, my brother. You know what I'm saying?
Take your love and blessings, man. That's what we do.
All right, say less. All right, anybody else want to add to the conversation in the spirit of Leroy? Can we have have a 5-minute moratorium in this room on hate and just speak on anything that could be productive or positive about this day that he just spiritually uplifted. Anybody want to add that before y'all jump back into the traditional hate mantras and all that kind of stuff?
With what he said was.
Right. Before we go there.
And I'd just shout out to everyone related to, and also the people of Jamaica, just in general, and here's to getting rid of the monarchy and getting in a proper republic, hopefully by the end of next year. And thank you so much, everyone. Everyone's so lovely in this room. It's really, really nice.
But I'm the loveliest.
And yeah, otherwise, power to the people, I guess, yeah.
I would like to respond to Miss Clark because I was one of the people that reacted with the laugh emoji. And it wasn't because I was laughing at your story, Miss Clark. It was because it deeply connects with me. Because they're telling you at your work, like, oh, you need to have conversations with people, interact with people more, delve into their life, so to speak. I found that hysterical because at work with where I work at, I work security, and they're telling us, like, they'll threaten our jobs if we walk and talk too much. If we walk and talk to each other too much, they'll threaten our jobs. And I'm just thinking, wow, look at the contrast between these two. Like, they're kind of getting on her case just because she's not talking.
Hey, you broke up, Marquise.
Marquise, you're in the Matrix, Marquise.
Well, hold tight for a second to see if he jumps back in. Marquise, the place we lost you is that they do something to you when when they're not talking. I think you were going to say
somebody else.
When you got. Go ahead. Hey, Marquise. Yeah. We lost you at when you were talking at work and what they do.
Oh, did that cut out?
Yeah, cut out.
Start again.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, what I was saying is, like, it's the respect of what you're putting into the company as compared to the respect that they're giving you, and the respect and that same work ethic that they're doing, that they're expecting you to do. If they're, they're telling you to interact, and yet if you don't, what's going to happen, right? Well, why? Why would I want to interact if I don't even know who this person is? So to go, you're living by the right ethic. Go to work, do what you need to do. Even if you have the time, do a little extra work. But you don't need to be placing your life, you need to be placing your life on the platter for everybody else like that. And I'll land my plane then.
Yeah, Marquise, and I get what you're saying, because I think people are taking the fact that I'm saying that I'm not talking much as being antisocial, and that's the thing that I don't like. Is because it's like this label's getting stuck on people because they don't want to talk. That doesn't mean you're not antisocial. Like, we gotta stop that, and that happens to Black women a lot, especially when we speak. Oh, you're not fun to get along with. Oh, you're antisocial. No, I'm very social. I'm just not giving you everything. It's like there's no balance. Like, I don't think that people understand that there are people who can operate in balance. I can be social. I can be nice to you at work. We can have our conversations. But guess what? When these specimens got to get cut, when they bring that damn leg down from the OR, I can't talk to you anymore. I got to focus on getting this stuff grossed in. I got to make sure that everything was severed correctly. I got to make sure the transcription gets in. There's a time and place to ha-ha and kiki, and then there's a time and place when not to. And I think that people have forgotten that, especially in workspaces. Because don't get me wrong, it wasn't just, that's why I said it's not just corporate. It wasn't just the military that I experienced that. Even when I got into the outside world, people would be like, oh, when you do your work, you just lock in. It's work. Why would I want to get distracted, especially dealing with patient care? Like, that's the one place where I would think that I need to focus the most, at least. Hey, I'm not going to talk to you while I'm doing this goddamn FNA, and I got these needles in my hand. I'm going to focus on doing what I got to do. Now, once it's done, and we sit in the break room, yeah, I'm a ha-ha, I'm a kiki with you. We can talk about, you can tell me about your kid's soccer game and everything. You can show me the pictures. But right now, while I'm at work, when I got these special things, when I'm sitting up here cutting on this microtone and I'm at this embedding station, I ain't got time to talk to you.
I can't remember the exact word, but there is this kind of, it's always been there, especially with Black women, but it's just this kind of, this weird disgusting kind of thing where I think you're expected to be, and I can't think of an easier word, but I guess digestible and easy for the person. The other people, I'm not saying.
Hey, Alaska, can you explain that, please? I'm
trying to think. Like, it feels like it's always one thing. If it's not one thing, it's another thing. Like, your hair, or your makeup, or your, it's just, how can I, there's a specific word for it. I'll think and come back, sorry.
And like the funny thing about it is, I'm not even getting into the situations with my hair and stuff that I've experienced in the military. Like y'all
exactly. That's
you guys can look at me. Imagine being told that the brown makeup that I'm wearing is too brown for my skin. Like this is the shit that I've heard. Oh, I see your makeup in your on the liner of your hat, and I'm like, yeah. Why is it brown? What do you mean? Why is it brown? Well, why is it brown? I don't know, Susan.
Who's asking you that?
See me? Like this is literal conversations I've had. Oh, you can't wear you can't wear brown lipstick. Your lipstick has to match. You can't wear brown lipstick, but it has to match your lips.
I've been told that you can't. I've been told I can't wear. I've been told to wear makeup, and then I wear lip gloss or whatever, and then I get told it's too much makeup, even though I'm wearing makeup on other people.
Girl, I remember I was working at a nursing home, and I mocked my manager like she's white, right? I mocked her like I sounded just like her. She fired me. She was so pissed off. Yeah, I don't take shit. Okay, I'm from up north, so I don't know. I don't do no fucking yes. Sorry. Hey, yeah, I'm gonna mock your ass. Like, yeah, now what?
But like, there's so much that I can get into. Like, even when I was in the military, even when they did the thing where they revamped the jurisdiction for your hair, like where they said, okay, look, you guys can wear braids, and when you wear braids, they have to be a certain length and size. There was a lady on our base who was an officer's wife. She was a black woman, and she used to braid every black woman's hair on base because she braided it within regulation. Still got shit for it. I remember one time my supervisor told me that, you know, my braids are nice, but they could be a bit more professional. And I was like, okay, how can I make them more professional? Couldn't tell me. And I'm like, you say my hair can be a bit more professional. I'm asking you, how can it be more professional? But you can't tell me how it can be more professional. It's like crazy shit that we would deal with. And then he was like, I feel attacked. What do you mean you feel attacked? You said that my hair was not professional enough when I asked for ways to improve it, or what are you seeing that's making my hair unprofessional? You can't tell me. Like, this is shit we deal with.
Exactly. And then when we try to act like them, they get upset too. Like, it's like we can't win. Like, what do you want? What the fuck do you want?
Hey, ladies,
that's because it's tough for white people to exist around melanin. I'm gonna just be honest, man. Like,
that's bullshit.
Even the frequencies, like black intellects, black music, black rhythm, black culture, all of it. You know what I mean? It triggers them in every way. It triggers them when a black man is smarter than them. It triggers them when we dance around them. It triggers them just existing to where subconsciously they're thinking in their head, I'm not racist. Let me say something that's not racist. And you're just chilling at work. And they end up saying something racist anyway. It's something that we do just
anyway.
Something that we do just by existing.
But Othello, you don't mean that.
A constant stream and loop.
Hey, Othello.
Anxiety.
Hey, Othello. Like, let's take, JB, if you look at his PTR, he has white skin, and he celebrated this room and then advocated for us. Mojo came off the mic, and he went hard and shut old boy Keegan's racist attitude down. Damn, they're better than most of the people on stage for it at Westworth. And not trying to be funny, Anthony has a different perspective than than some of the black people on stage. So I'm saying sometimes we talk about these issues and we use the tropes. I understand what you're saying, Othello. There's some that have been conditioned to be resistant to the beauty of our culture. But at the same time, the world literally celebrates jazz, hip hop, and all these original music and art forms that we created. So whatever it's worth. So we just got to be careful how we speak.
Wait, let me just jump in real quick. And it's going to be a polarizing statement. If it don't apply, let it fly. But I've held enough of these rooms where I've heard black people, not all black people say, we're not a monolith. Don't put us all in the same hole, right? Well, guess what, Othello? Not all white people are monoliths. We don't all think the same. What Mojo eats doesn't mean I shit it. So I just wanted to say that.
Well, JB, I thought you were Jewish.
I'm Jewish Italian, but what my religion has nothing to do with my that's me in the picture, bro. If I go to DMV, there's no Jewish box in it. There's white, black, other.
What I'm saying is being a Jewish person, right? You're not in the majority. Naturally, you're in the minority, so you understand struggle and you understand having gone through a Holocaust.
Wait, hold on, Othello. My Judaism has nothing to do with my struggle. My struggle is my lived experience. There's a difference.
Right, but I'm just saying, because of your culture, because of your lived experiences, right, and being a minority, naturally, I think you can connect with other minorities.
See, that's where we disagree. I don't see myself as a minority. Because first of all, I'm going to say it's a polarizing statement. I'm a different type of Jew, man. I got tattoos and I eat bacon. But you fuck with my community, that's when I stand up. I'm the Jew that they call when shit hits the fan. But I don't live the life that the other Jews live. I live my own life. I live JB's life, right? I respect what he's saying, Othello. But I don't see myself, and I know this is going to be triggering, Othello, and I say respectfully. I don't see you as a minority. I see you as a man that can do anything you want in this country. But I will say this. Oppression is real. But I see you as a man first before I see your skin color. That's the truth.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that should be the North Star for everybody, man, if we're really talking about it. I don't want to get over kumbaya with the shit, but keeping it 100. Like, people are always saying, I want something specific for the black community, right? And I get that. But at the end of the day, what on Juneteenth, as we celebrate this specific level of freedom for our culture, the real freedom is demanding what King demanded, which is that the American Constitution, its Bill of Rights, its preamble, is just the whole truth. You know what I'm saying? That's what King was saying when he was on the steps of the Capitol. He was basically saying, be who you say you are. So we're founded because people didn't want religious persecution. Why we persecute people because of their religion? If this country was founded with all men that are part of the country and women having inalienable rights that could be taken away from them, and that people get to practice, think what they think, say what they want to say with the freedom of speech, my point is that our condition should be advocated for not just by the black people on the stage, but by everybody on the stage, because it represents, and it's the most idealistic American ideology. So you can't say America first, but bump them black people. They need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. You can't say I'm all about America, right? And the Constitution and what it stands for, and then people aren't...
Don't even mute up, man. I just want to say this. Because we have this myth in America that America was built for all created equal. America was built by white supremacists for white supremacists. That's just a fact.
100%, that's the fact. And then the point has been in the evolution and the amendments of the Constitution. What I'm saying is, in the ideal and the perfecting of the Union, which is supposed to be the point, our consistent progress has to be consumed with all Americans wanting shit to be fair for everybody. So Ms. Clark isn't saying she wants some special whites at work. She's the one with her culture considered, and that her hair is different, and her attitude and temperament might be different. She might not normally relate to the norm in that workplace. It doesn't mean she's anti that workplace as she's defending the country. My point is, and I'll close here, the ideals that people of color, and not trying to be funny, just Latinos and Jewish people, Indians, whoever, we're all saying, America, be who you say you are. Appreciate the diversity of thought. Yes, we understand that this country was created in a specific way, but every amendment thereafter said something different. Let's not revert back. Let's move forward in the perfection of the Union. So I'm just saying, why the hell isn't everybody, no matter what that damn color you are, advocating that the people who you have to hear complain are actually asking for American ideals? Or when Keegan was on stage, he was talking about 42 and all these movies, and how sick he is of watching black movies. Why can't those be American stories? That's all I'm just saying. The myth of absence is a problem. When you teach people that we weren't a part of defending this country, of building this country, of already being this lane, when you teach people false history, then you falsely demonize a culture that doesn't deserve it. And the way to change this shit is stop the way that we're talking about it and stop the way that we're teaching the BS side of history. Don't do nothing special for black people. Just do something special for America as being who you say you're supposed to be. I'll land there.
But I just want to say this though. I mean, again, we gotta remember, America was founded by Anglo-Saxon whites. It's a predominantly white country. It's like going to Yankee Stadium as a Red Sox fan and saying, "Oh, how come we're not, talking more about Red Sox here at Yankee Stadium?" Because it's fucking Yankee Stadium. So you're gonna hear more about Yankees, and you might see a blip on the radar about some of the games and maybe some of the beef with the Red Sox, but it's Yankee Stadium, so it's predominantly going to be about the Yankees.
Well, the difference between the Yankee Stadium and America is that America.
Ty, please.
My bad, I didn't hear you. You're a little low.
No problem. I'm not giving you a hard. It's all good. I'm not giving you a hard time. So what I was gonna say is this, man. Yeah, America was founded by whoever it was founded by, right? But when we talk about the ideals of this country, what this country stands for, what it aspires to, like the ideals of what this country's about. It's not, people are infallible, but judge the country by its ideals, all right? Judge a country by what it's striving for. It's the most amazing country in the history of the known universe.
Yeah, I was going to say the difference between the example that you gave, Sig, and actually America is that kind of what Anthony said, the idea is what was put on paper. When you go to a Yankees game, they don't say, hey, all teams are created equal and we're all going to get the equal chance to score. No, that's not what they do when you go to the games. It's, hey, we're the Yankees, we're going to whoop the fucking whatever team you said ass. That's usually what's going on. It's a competitive atmosphere. It's not an equal atmosphere. America set the tone on paper for it to be an equal atmosphere. That's the difference. So that example really didn't stick. It's sticking and slid right down the wall.
No. It actually sticks because of equal opportunity. The Yankees still allow the Red Sox to come in their stadium and equally compete. I think where a lot of people are getting the misnomer is they want equal outcome. And that's not what the promise is. The promise is only equal opportunity.
But exactly. That they agreed to compete, though. There was an agreement to compete. It wasn't, hey, I'm going to bring all these people over here and now force you to work, and then I'm going to take away that forced work and give you nothing, and then now tell you to go ahead and try to get an equal outcome as me. But I've already done up the scoreboard on you. You see, every example that you give, I can have another one that's going to equally combat it even worse. So
this idea, this one real quick, Ms. Clark. There's this idea that in America, all white people are rich, and they've upped the scoreboard. It's nonsense. 10% of the population controls over 50% of the wealth. So you this is a complete misnomer, and people think that life should be fair. It's a nice thought, but life will never be fair. Life is inherently unfair. The best you can pray for is an opportunity.
Anthony,
that's the best you can pray for.
Anthony, let me ask you a question, man. And I agree with you. Life is unfair. But do you think it's unfair for some people and more so than others? Keep it real.
So I don't even understand the question, JB. I think it's either fair or it's unfair. And if this degree of unfairness,
you're being obtuse.
No, respectfully, I don't understand the question. JB, everyone that I know that's doing well, it's because of their choices. Everyone that I know that's not doing well, it's because of their choices. In this unfair environment. I just don't understand the question.
I understand the question, Jay.
What do you think, Ken? Was it a bad question or was it an honest question?
I think it was an honest question.
Can you repeat it, sir?
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand the question.
I want to give it to Ms. Clark before I respond.
How do you guys measure the degrees of fairness?
If we could, let Ms. Clark. Let Ms. Clark respond.
This was just speaking out loud, bro. I just don't understand.
No, I get it
conceptually the degrees of unfairness. That's all.
I get it. The thing is this: you're like a black white supremacist. So I get it. Like you like to protect whiteness, and I get it. You know, JB is just asking you, is it unfair for some people, bro? This is not rocket science, man. You know, I mean, even as
JB means well. He's a genuine
hold on one
person.
second. Even as the brother time begins to speak to tell you the history, you instead continuously go against this black man who's just, he's not saying you're wrong. He's just saying acknowledge the history. Do you know black people were enslaved longer than they've been free? So when JB gets off the mic and asks you a question, right, that's really in defense of black people, here you go, shucking and jiving again, doing the coon dance, and I get it, and I like you, Anthony. But
King, you're factually incorrect. What you say? You're factually incorrect.
I know you're mad at me. Go ahead, man.
No, I'm not. I'm not giving you no negative energy.
Okay, thank you, man.
You know, like we're good. I'm just saying to you that you're factually incorrect. That's all I said.
I feel like at some point, you know, black people feel like they gotta deny their truth to make white folks feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it's like I told my girl, when JB step in the room, hold on one second, when JB step in the room, we already know he pro-Italian. He pro himself. For some reason, with black people, when we're pro ourselves, we always got a few niggas cooning for white folks who ain't trying to make you feel comfortable. JB gonna say his truth, bro. If it's between you and the Jewish man or Italian man, he gonna stand up for himself. For some reason, black people, we feel, hold on one second. For some reason, black people, brother, we feel like we gotta deny our history to make people feel comfortable. No, bro. It's unfairly weighed. We went through a lot of shit in this country, bro. I believe it's a beautiful country, bro. It's a beautiful country. I like what's going on. But we can't deny the history and the black Holocaust. That's all we say.
King, here's what's up, King. Here's the problem, right? King, like, what happens is Keegan gets called racist. You know, me and Sig, we get called coons. This is your ways of trying to silence us. It's you say, yo, you don't agree with groupthink, but this is what you're advocating for by calling us these names. I'm not matching your energy. I'm not calling you any kind of names. You know, you're like, listen, man. I think that the most dangerous thing you can do to a person is to make them dependent on you. That's the worst thing you can do to a person. To pretend to, like, I love people that tell me, yo, this is what they're about, this is who they are. I respect that. What I don't respect is when people make other people dependent on them. They make people, they have this, like, this one little idea, and this is the only way everybody's supposed to think. And if you don't think like that, I'm going to call you some really disparaging name. I'm going to curse the day you were born. This is, and then you know, some of these people, what they're going to do is they're going to do it with a smile on their face. They're going to do it while they're giving you a pat on your back. You know,
wait, Anthony. Hold on, everybody. I'm not even gonna give you smoke. I'm just gonna give some context. When he was called a racist, Keegan, who I don't know if he's still here or not, I waited. I let everybody speak, and I let Mojo pack him up. I came off the mic and said, Keegan, I'm not gonna call you a racist, but you do have some racist ideology. And you know what he said? I'm not gonna argue that. So if he self-admittedly says I have racist ideologies, what would that make him, Anthony?
So
not a racist.
JB.
Is he not a racist? No, it's not. No, respectfully, I know what I hear. I'm not a dummy.
Okay.
And
can I answer your question and just be honest, bro?
Yeah, but you know what? I'm
cool.
Let's move on. I'm not going to argue with you. Because you're being obtuse and you're being intellectually dishonest.
Okay, so JB, like, listen, man. I have never called you obtuse, and I've never called you intellectually dishonest. I've never done either.
Because I'm never obtuse or intellectually dishonest. You're being both right now.
JB, this is your perception. I don't, because of my respect for you, I don't put my perception onto you. I think you're a genuine person, and I take you at face value, and I just leave it at that. I'm not trying. There's no prize for me winning an argument here. I think that if you said, like, even what Mojo said about Keegan, it was so off base and so fun. It was wrong. It was fundamentally wrong. It wasn't intellectually dishonest. It was intellectually lazy. And it was like, yeah, I'm talking about Roger. He was 1,000% wrong. So, and it's kind of friggin' hilarious coming from Roger. But I'm going to leave it.
Let me get this real quick. Hold on, if you don't mind. This is what's killing me, Anthony.
I want to respond after you. Go ahead.
You're defending someone who has come out. Keegan has also come out in other rooms and adamantly said that he sees himself as a racist. You can't get mad at people
without context. I can't say that.
How many different people do I hear from? Come on, y'all. Like, this is the part that trips me out. Like, Keegan has sat here and expounded things. You can sit here and say respectfully you don't want to be labeled as a coon. I'm not going to call you a coon, right? But Keegan has sat here and said, I don't mind being called this. You can call me this. He's been in other rooms where he said, yeah, I can see myself being this, or I am this thing. If you come out and you tell me that you're something and I refer to you by it, what I don't need is somebody coming in and saying, well, why are you calling this person this? When this person is perfectly fine sitting up here saying, I'm fine with being called that. If I get up here on the stage and somebody decides to call me, like a fucking wife, I'm a wife. And for somebody to come off and be like, you can't call that woman a wife because no, call me that. If I'm telling you, you can call me that, or you can refer to me by that, why are you defending that? I can understand when it comes to you yourself, and you not wanting to be labeled things, or you don't want to be being seen like that. But I literally sat in this room the other day when Keegan was sitting up here talking about how he saw the black family at the park, and they were setting up for their child's birthday party. And he sat there and said that how he called them all types of names and talked and thought in his head all types of violence towards them. And somebody said that's kind of racist as fuck. And he said, yeah, I am racist as fuck. I feel like, what the fuck is going on?
So that's not true. He didn't say he had thoughts of violence towards that family. That's not what he said. So let's keep it real and be honest when we're talking about this. But
Sorry.
Yeah, just real quick, Alaska. And I know Free was trying to get in. What's going on, Free? Welcome in. I definitely want to give him a chance to chime in. But the thing is, you can call us coons and whatever you want. That's fine. I mean, you got a right to free speech. But JB's correct. I hear all the time black people say we're not a monolith. But it seems like that only applies when you're going with the black narrative. As soon as you step outside of the black narrative, then, that we are not a monolith. It goes by the fucking wayside. So again, black people are racist as fuck. We heard on the stage, we had a black man refer to white people as crackers, and nobody batted an eye. Nobody said a fucking word. But if a white person said these niggas, everybody would chimp the fuck out and go off. So there's a double standard here. Black people are racist as fuck, man. Bring home a white woman to your black mother and see what the fuck happens. She's gonna have a problem with it. Not because she's a bad woman, not because she's an ugly woman, not because her hair is fucked up or her makeup's fucked up, simply because she has white skin and you're bringing her into a black environment. So if it's okay for blacks to be racist, it's okay for whites to be racist. And King, I'm gonna tell you something, bro. You can make whatever assumptions you want, but people do have their lived experience. I grew up my whole life hearing white people are evil, white people are racist, white people are gonna keep you down, this and that. And then I got around whites, and they did nothing but embrace me. I was able to open my own fucking business because a white man allowed me into his shop rent-free for 6 months to give me a fucking opportunity to be an entrepreneur. And I was able to sell that business. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have the money that I have now. I was able to sell that fucking business for a profit, but it was a white man. Never had a nigga come up to me and say, hey, bro, you can set up shop over here. You don't have to pay rent for 6 months. Just build yourself up to be successful, and then we'll talk money later. Never had that fucking happen, bro. Detroit, all the years I lived in Detroit, niggas robbing me at gunpoint, breaking into my house. As a kid, I had to sleep in a bathtub. And you know Detroit. Finkel and fucking Pinehurst, 7 Mile and Livernois. You know that area, King. You know how rough that fucking area is. I had to sleep in a fucking bathtub every fucking night because niggas was shooting. Wake up to go downstairs to go to school, to go to the bus stop. Fucking dead niggas, police tape all around because niggas shot other niggas. The dead bodies laying on the fucking ground. This is what I had to witness as a child fucking growing up. So it wasn't white people that were shooting and killing niggas. It wasn't white people that made me have to sleep in a fucking bathtub at night because straight bullets were flying every fucking night. I move around white people I've been told were evil and racist and hated me, done nothing but embrace me and help give me opportunities because they weren't looking at my skin color, they were looking at my character. So that's where some of us are coming from, King. It's not just the coon.
Hey, yo, can I respond to that, JB?
Can I respond real quick before I go to the...
Hold on, let King, let King respond because he addressed you directly. Okay, King.
Yeah, I want to say, my apologies for what the brother went through. I encounter a lot of my brothers and sisters that went through a lot of things in the hood. I want to tell you, I got a lot of love for white people. But JB, like, that's my real homie, bro. But, at some point in life, I had to learn I don't have to deny my blackness to love white people. You get what I'm saying? And when I sit here and I hear brothers like you overlook redlining and things that happen to black people, it's almost like you feel like you have to deny yourself to make somebody feel comfortable. So when I'm saying the things like the cooning and stuff like that, I'm really advocating for the kid that you were, bro. To say, he still exists. What about that black man that did sleep in the tub, that didn't want to go through what he went through? He does not exist now. We don't believe that there's good black people in the Detroit community now. That young black boy that had to get that opportunity from that white man, he doesn't deserve to know that black excellence exists. He doesn't deserve to look in the mirror and love himself. He has to deny himself of himself. He has to hate himself to make somebody feel comfortable. Brother, I just don't want you to do that, bro. I love you for real. Anthony, I admire the way y'all brothers speak, bro. Y'all the ones we love. But it really don't help the community when y'all get on and y'all don't really come back and speak to the hood and say, yo, brother, this how I got paid. Because if all he see is the drug dealer, if all we see is the gangsters outside, because you don't got your college education, now you too good for us. You too good for your own people, bro. There's some good people in Detroit, bro. All I'm saying is don't turn your back on them, dog. I see at work where black people gotta be fake. I get it for a chick. But on Clubhouse, niggas ain't getting no money and still shucking and jiving and shit, bro. But I love you, bro. I can't deny your story. I grew up around white people. That's why I got love for white folk. I didn't know I was black until I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I'm gonna tell you, I moved around all black people to Montgomery, Alabama. I was almost scared of my own people. And I got so much love, bro. From my people, I tatted that shit on my arm. I represent Alabama for real. Because I got love down south where it was waving at us. I got hugs from my black people, so I love everybody, bro. But I don't have to deny myself to make anybody feel comfortable. I want JB to be the best Jewish man he can be. And I know he still love me, bro. That's all. So I love you, bro. I apologize if I offended anybody. I get you.
Can I say what I was
perfect. I just want to say that I definitely do reach out in the community, and I definitely do, show love. I give back in a multitude of ways. The number one way being my time, my efforts, and transparency in terms of how I was able to accomplish what I've been able to accomplish.
Well, yeah, you haven't hit my cash app, you cheap fuck.
Yo, and shout out to Aunt, let me say this, JB, and I give it to you. Hey, yo, Aunt, at some point, Steve and Aunt, we all got to come together, brother. CEOs, we're the black excellence. We're the heroes we're looking for. But if we can't get on one accord, nothing changes.
But we can never get on one accord. And real quick, we can never get. Hold on, real quick. It's gonna be quick. But King, I hear what you're saying. I love you too, bro. Nothing but love in my heart. But we can't notice. Anthony and I have never called you guys names. Never disparaged your point. We may disagree, but we've never disparaged your point of view. But we haven't got that same respect in return. So we can't get on one accord if the respect isn't flowing.
That's true.
Now, Anthony apologized. Anthony called me a bunch of names when he first met me. But we
you know how that
Wait, everybody, hold on, please. Hold on, please. Respectfully, Miss Clark has been waiting, and she's threatened me in the back channel. She's gonna choke me.
I didn't hide. Don't say that. I did not say that. Okay, so for me, sitting up here listening, I think that this this is what gets to me. Sig, I can feel you. I can understand your plight and where you came from. Congratulations, you grew up in the inner city. I think that people tend to think that people are bad when it's just you're in a bad area. Regardless of who would have been there, it would have probably been, if you grew up in a bad area, it's a bad area. I live here in Mobile, right? If I take my ass to Pritchard, I'm going to face a lot of fucking gun violence and threats from, guess what? Black people. But if I take my ass over across the way to Masha, Alabama, guess what? They have high fucking gun violence out there. And it's a bunch of fucking white people. If I move my ass out there, it's all about proximity. If I move my ass out there around a bunch of white people who are committing crime and it's a bad area, guess who are going to be people who are perpetrating crime against me? A bunch of fucking white people. Just like if I move my happy black ass over to Pritchard, where there's a fucking high crime rate and it's a bad area, the people who are going to be perpetuating violence against me is going to be black people. It's not, like, we gotta stop trying to say, oh, well, I live in a bad area, and because I live in a bad area, the people here are this, so therefore they're the ones perpetrating or being this. No, like, if you would have moved anywhere else to a decent, like, there are decent black neighborhoods out here that have no violence, just like there are decent neighborhoods out here with white people, right? And granted, I can understand, yes, now, your parents probably shouldn't have drilled into you realistically that, oh, white people are racist, all this other shit, da-da-da-da-da. They could teach you to be cautious, which is, I think, what it's like the pendulum. We swing too far to the right, we swing too far to the left, a bunch of overcorrection, right? But at the same time, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, we gotta stop doing this shit where we're like, oh, the only people who did be bad were black people. Sir, you grew up in a bad fucking area. And it just so happened that the people there happen to be black. If you moved your ass into an Asian town area full of fucking crime, guess what? The Asian people are gonna do you just as fucking bad.
Well, let me check that in real. King. 2 seconds. I gotta go. Happy Juneteenth to everybody. I'm gonna hand them over to my mods. Sig, when you leave, just shut it down, okay? Thank you. Everybody have a great day, man.
Happy
Listen,
birthday.
let me say, thank you, bro. Hit that cash out. Let me just say this. We had, maybe it was in the spirit of Juneteenth, I don't know. But we just had a conversation between King, Sig, and Anthony. And at the end of that conversation was apologies, love, and respect. That's amazing. That's what we need to do in these spaces. Have the discourse, and then meet back in the middle with respect. Man, I love my mods. Guys, have a great day. I'll speak to you soon.
No problem. I know the mods, man, we kind of been hogging the stage. So
I just want to say one thing to Miss Clark, because I really like her. You know, I gotta keep it real. When I was around all white people when I was growing up, my problem was black people. Even though it was only a few black families. Then I moved to Montgomery, the hood. And my black experience was good. I got a lot of love. But I tell you, when you deal with black folks who really from the mud for real, who really from the ghettos and really grew up in that shit, they talk different. A lot of them talk like Sid. Especially if they went to school or tried to make their way out, they really talk like that. Like my girl from the west side of Atlanta, Bankhead, the worst part. And I gotta talk to her every day to say, nah, baby, believe in that black girl you was when you was growing up. But she say, you don't know what I went through. And she right. I don't know what she went through. And sometimes we gotta be real. Sometimes we have audacity because I didn't start out that way. I was in Ohio around white people. Then I moved around all black people. They started out around all black folks. You know what I'm saying? So I can't take nothing away from his experience. I grew up with a father from Detroit. I didn't understand why he was mean mugging. Nigga, we in the suburb. What's wrong with you? But he from Detroit. It was a different experience. You know what I'm saying? I'm keeping it real. He from Detroit. What, you get what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is sometimes we have audacity. Some black people have audacity because they did have a better bringing to tell people who was really in the ghettos, in the mud, getting shot at, fucked up, and they just wanted to be better people. That, you know what, bro? You gotta love us more than the love you got when you grew up. Why don't you just move around more black people? Sid probably lived a more blacker life than all of us. But sometimes the result of black people terrorizing each other is Sig. I don't agree with it, but I gotta understand my brother. Just the same way I gotta understand my girl. I'm keeping it real with you, Sig, and I love you for real. But bro, my girl from Bankhead, come to Atlanta, go to the West Side, go to where they go to the Bluff. She really from the slums, and she ain't really trying to hear all that black shit I be talking. I really gotta massage her mind and understand her to find some type of balance here to make her love herself again, bro. That's real talk. So shout out.
That movie was good, Snow on the Bluff. That was a pretty.
Yeah, Snow on the Bluff. Hey, you know what's going on. You know what the fuck going on.
Hell yeah.
All right, well, let's open up the stage, man. No, Free, what's going on, Free? I know you wanted to chime in. I think Alaska, you wanted to chime in too. Joe B's new on stage. Jody, welcome. Cool C. I want to give some of you guys an opportunity to speak. So we'll start with Free, and then you guys, the new people on the stage. Well, yo, Free, you there? Okay, anybody else wants to go? Joe B, Jody, Cool C. Oh, like Free's back.
I just had a short. Oh, do you want to go? I just had a short point.
Yeah, go ahead. We got some brand new people. Oh, okay. Well, Free's gonna yield his mic to you, Alaska. Go ahead, then Free, and then we can open it up.
Thank you so much. Welcome new people as well. Yeah, just to say as well, when we talk about areas being bad, it's really important to also look into why those areas are bad. Usually it's because of historical yeah, there's redlining, just completely going in and destroying whole communities. If we're talking economically, like we know about Black Wall Street already, and also those areas are usually historically defunded as well. So there's a lot more to it.
Hey, you know what I'm mad at? A white woman can get up here and say that shit, and black people, y'all won't even say what she said. Shout out to Alaska.
Mrs. Clark was saying something.
You denied the redlining, and Alaska came up here. Shout out to you. Yo, shout out to Alaska. I love what you just said.
I never denied redlining. What I said is my grandfather who built the house during the redlining period because he was an automotive worker in Detroit and saved up his money and built the house. And my grandmother and her sisters and brothers who grew up through Jim Crow and redlining didn't complain about it, still got college degrees, still got fucking educated, still had full-time jobs and retirements and stuff like that. They weren't complaining about it, using it as an excuse. I just don't see why the modern day 2025 people now are using it. If the people who actually went through it didn't use it as an excuse, that's my only point.
I got you, Sig, and I hear you, because it's like, it was a long time ago, and, you know, I was trying to get in when Anthony was here, when JB asked him, like, if everything is fair, no matter what these days, equal rights and everything, because I know Anthony has said before, you know, him and I agree to disagree on some things, but he has acknowledged that systemic racism does still exist, and there was that glaring modern day example, saying, during the pandemic, I think it was 2022 or 2023, Wells Fargo got caught. They got caught denying multiple black families who had solid credit, no criminal history, loans. And they paid out, you know, whatever lawsuit. And I brought that up before, and folks have been like, oh, well, that's just one example. But it's not 1950, not 1960, not 1970. It's the 21st century. They would have kept doing it if they didn't get caught. So I'm not going to say families are getting. I'm sorry, Mrs. Clark, I didn't catch that.
Navy Federal, the military bank, got caught doing the same thing as Wells Fargo during that time too.
There you go. There you go. Anyway, so when folks say, well, how come redlining, it was so long ago, you know, shouldn't have, folks that weren't directly impacted, grandparents and such, they were able to get past that and all the power to them. But the fact that these banks are still some part of their brains, and we're talking about powerful banks with executives making these decisions, are pulling these strings, is absolutely wild. That's all. It's just absolutely wild.
All right, Free.
And to your point, Moose.
Yeah, what's up, man? Just been listening in, man. It's on to chime in. So, It's been a while since I looked into the case that we just talked about with the red line thing. So, long story short, the DOJ, Eric Holder, who was head of that time, they did change some of the laws about it. Long story short, it was basically the government just siphoning money out of these banks because they could. So, it wasn't a legitimate case of them actually hurting people because there was no actual victims that came forward. They just found technicalities in the law to actually rob the banks. So, the banks in settlements, which would happen, could even go to a trial. In the settlements, the banks were saying that we don't admit any wrongdoing, like in most settlements, and they just paid the fine. So the unfortunate case is people use to make this argument for redlining is not legitimate. But it sucks to be in this space with these arguments because the thing is that it's almost no position of resolution. It's like we just want to get on here and bitch and say white people are evil, and that's all that needs to be said. So to your point, Cindy, you were saying we don't deal with a lot of shit our ancestors dealt with. White people have done a lot of fucked up shit, undeniable. We know the history, right? The point is we come a long ways to actually move forward, to actually do a lot of shit. It ain't perfect and it never will be. But any little issue that comes about, we like to amplify because it's dogmatic at this point that we need to feel this cultural outrage about whites and blacks in this country and all that shit. White people are so stupid they just sit back and tolerate the shit. But the point is, most of the problems that used to exist doesn't exist. We changed laws, we got politicians in place, we've done a lot of shit to be different than what we were. The culture that we live in today is nowhere near like it was before, but we're gonna keep pretending it is so we can keep having this conversation. So a lot of times we sit here and be quiet because anyone should say because the goal is not to actually have a solution to what we don't talk about this. The goal is to keep the conversation going.
How did he get white people are evil out of there? I don't understand what's going on. It was white people that just got on the stage talking about redlining, and you took that and made it.
I never
white people are evil
exactly.
conversation.
You caught that, King? That was wild. That was bizarre.
Yeah, I can explain how. That's what it boils down to. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I got you.
Free, respectfully, you talked very quickly. So I think you said that, they paid out fines or they didn't go to court, so it really wasn't redlining. Can you explain that? How is that not redlining?
I said a settlement. They paid out a settlement. They was fined. They were sued, and it's a settlement. So in redlining, you have to prove that it was actually redlining. When you settle, as you know, most cases that happen like this, you don't go into details of what actually happened. That means the party agreed to resolve it by the settlement. There's not an admission of guilt.
Correct, which means they can't sue again, and they don't go to court, and they can't press criminal charges. Correct. However, the fact that they settled it all and didn't just say, man, you're crazy, get out of here, we're Wells Fargo, you got nothing on us. They got caught, man, respectfully. They got
not
caught.
True. That's not how that works.
They made a lesser deal. And they got caught.
Wait, are you saying that Are you saying that redlining didn't happen?
We don't know because we wasn't able to see it. That's what I'm saying.
So
we can't make a positive claim or a negative claim based on that.
There was a study by the Federal Reserve. Sorry, there was a study by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago economists they conducted it in 2017 and found that redlining had persistent adverse impact on neighborhoods.
I think he's talking about the Wells Fargo case specifically. I don't think he's denying redlining.
Okay.
The historical redlining. I think he's.
Okay, thank you. That's why it's confused.
Yeah. I specifically said that, in modern times, again, they changed the law in, I think, 2013 or something like that, and then they started applying it to the banks. That was one that was big with Citibank, and like I said, it's been a while since I looked this up, but they was pushing back because the bank saw, there was a lot of banks that got caught up in this. The bank saw that they was just using this to siphon money from them with this technicality. So what happened was, of course, they ended up settling. They did not make guilt, but they started pushing back because they realized that, hey, you guys are using this to just get money out of us, and there's no real victims behind this. So look into it. Like I said, it's been a while since I looked at it, but I'll go back into my archives and pull up.
And this is why I don't think white people are evil now, because white people watch the news and study their history. You know what I'm saying? See, white people get up here and say, this is exactly what happened, right? Then you got brothers who say, we think white people evil. What's going on right now? The white folks on the stage are acknowledging what happened to black people to keep black people in certain positions, right?
So can I respond to you, King?
I'm black and white, just to be clear. This is just my conservative disguise. My first vote.
Okay, so you black? What?
Jamaican, black, British, white.
Okay, so shout out to Jamaican, black, British, white. So what I'm saying is, know your history, y'all. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is, we should know our history before we speak. There's downstream impacts of things, family. That's all I'm saying. Sig, Dr. Kaba said, knowing history is like a slingshot. The further back you go, the further forward you will propel. So I think that we have to study our history to not think that people are trying to pick on us. You know what I'm saying? There's downstream impact. Do you agree, Sig? There's some downstream impact from the history and the things that black people went through in the past.
Look, I agree there is some for those who are directly involved, but the issues we're facing today in 2025, I don't think that's impacted because, again, directly after slavery, blacks had businesses, they had their own towns, they owned land. Like, my grandmother spent time in Harlem, and I remember hearing stories of her, and she was over there in that, she kind of helped orchestrate that Harlem Mosque with the Nation of Islam. That's why she went to Harlem. Because my grandmother's Muslim. I come from a Muslim background.
Come on, dude.
Yeah. She worked in, and she actually moved back to Detroit to help set up the mosque there. I used to, Malcolm's brother, Wilfred, his wife used to babysit me. Like, it's a long story.
Oh, that's dope, man.
Yeah. So I got my family has ties with NOI back in the 60s when they were developing and branching out.
Yes, sir.
But I've listened to my grandmother, and even in Harlem, she was saying white folks came into our shit, patronized our businesses. We went over to their shit. Yeah, there were certain rules in place. There was certain segregation in place. But even my grandmother was saying, like, it wasn't like, this is why Malcolm X changed his whole fucking view. He ended up changing his view because he was on this NOI rhetoric, and then he was realizing, wait a minute, I kind of got told a lie. The evil shit about white people, it's not really true. And I've heard this account from my grandmother as well. You know, so it's like, if I'm being 100% honest, King, and it's all about being honest. I'm not taking away from the history. I'm not taking away from the bullshit black people went through. If that's where you're getting or where you're taking from it, I'm telling you right now, that's not where I'm coming from. But what I'm saying is, I've heard and listened and talked to black people that grew up in these areas who were directly affected by this. They even were saying it wasn't as bad as this generation's making it out to be, based on the pseudo history and hyperbolic history that's being presented.
But
I agree.
The arrested development, right, is detailed in data. Like, you could, this is not something that, you know, you have a conversation with somebody. Well, how did you live? Oh, how was it back then? Did you have a good childhood? That's bullshit, right? There's a wage gap, right? These are statistics. This is data, right? It shows you what that wage gap is and where it's gone from point A to point B. And if you don't see a real significant change in that wage gap, there's a problem, right? So when people talk about systemic racism, right, and how you have institutions in the United States of America that have been in place since prior to emancipation, that have kept the corporate culture, right, of like racism, right, and impediments to black upward economic mobility. That shit needs to be addressed. There needs to be actions taken to undo the harms, because white people who have not had the impediments, they've had access to resources, access to all kinds of benefits that were intentionally kept from black people, right? They benefited. They've been able to propel themselves economically, right? Where blacks have not. And not only blacks have not been able to propel themselves economically, but they also have inherited, right, the negative impacts, right? The negative impact of having people impoverished for multiple generations. So when you look around you and you see you have a higher probability or chance of having uncles, your father, your mother that have spent time in prison, right? These things, right, have a lot to do with that inherited poverty, right? Because you have a higher probability of ending up in these situations if you're impoverished. So you can't sit up here and say that what's happening now is totally in a vacuum away from what's happened historically in this country. That's not how history functions, that's not how money functions, and that's not how social mobility functions.
Word, and shout out to the brother, and I want to give it to my friend after that. But Sig said it wasn't as bad, and sometimes we make it seem worse than what it was. As I look at where I'm from in Montgomery, Alabama, there's a lynching memorial that's open. Says the magnitude of the killing is harrowing, all the more so when paired with circumstances of individual lynchings. Some described in brief summaries along with the Walk Parks Banks. Lynched in Mississippi in 1922 for carrying a photograph of a white woman. Caleb Gadley hanged in Kentucky in 1894 for walking behind the wife of his white employer. Mary Turner, who after denouncing her husband's lynching by a rampaging white mob was hung upside down, burned, and then sliced open so that her unborn child fell to the ground. Brother, it's that time is going along, and we're trying to live. But our ancestors went through a storm here, brother, and it was bad, family. Like I said, I'm from Montgomery, Alabama. It's a lynching museum. I want you to look these things up tonight. See, it ain't all peaches and cream, bro. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Can you coming from a point that I'm denying this? Look, I understand that there's 4,000 documented lynchings, over 4,000. I know, King. I know. And again, I'm not coming from a place saying it did not happen or atrocities did not happen. I'm not denying that.
For sure.
I acknowledge that these horrible. Right. I acknowledge these horrible things happening, but King, is it possible that maybe some of this stuff is being is hyperbolic? And maybe being made worse than it was. Is there a possibility?
Now, look, it's a possibility. Now, look at this. Is it a possibility that your upbringing in Detroit was better than you make it seem? You know how you told me when you was in Detroit? You get what I'm saying, bro? I cannot take away from your story, bro. And sometimes we're trying to water down the Black Holocaust to make other people feel comfortable. Let me ask you something. You got kids, right? I know you got a child, right?
Yeah, I got
you got a wife?
Yeah, I got two.
So if you work hard, too. You're successful. If somebody robbed you tonight, took everything you own, you don't think that would affect your kids and your wife?
It would affect my kids and my wife, but here's the thing. We wouldn't dwell on it. We deal with it in the moment, and then we wouldn't let us hold it back, and we wouldn't use it as an excuse to rebuild, King.
Okay, so I love that. So this is the thing, right? I'll never tell a Jewish person they're dwelling on the Holocaust. Because that shit really happened, and it messed people up, bro. It affected people, bro. I'll never tell people to deny their history. I don't think you should dwell in it. I don't think acknowledgement of monstrosities or things that happen to your people is you dwelling in things, bro. I think it's you acknowledging what your ancestors went through. And I believe a lot of our ancestors will be disappointed in us for sitting here singing Kumbaya with people that enslaved them. They would want us to acknowledge what they went through. But seriously, bro, my thing is, bro, I really love you, bro, but once again, you do not have to deny yourself to make nobody feel comfortable. That's all I'm saying.
What did you say that, King?
I'm listening.
What do you mean by that?
Right? And you said,
fair enough.
Like, we trying to make white people evil. I don't think white people evil. I love white people. I got really, bro. I'm like,
white friends?
If it weren't for white
Some of
people,
King's best friends are white.
Can I explain to you what I mean by that, King?
Hey,
So you can understand me better?
Jewish dudes took his death jam. I signed a death jam for $500,000, bro. I love me some Jewish people, some white folk. You know what I'm talking about? But at the same time, I'm still pro myself. And guess what?
How come you're not pro white
like you
people
more
too?
when you pro yourself. But you know what black folks want to do? We want to deny our blackness to make white folks feel comfortable. You know what white folks really saying? Look at this nigga cooning for us. Like, they don't see that you black.
No, that's what black people say. That's not what white people
folks looking at you like you a fool.
White people today don't use the word.
That's not true. That's not
Listen,
true.
why are white people... Hold on one second, I got you. I'm going to let you yell later. Why are white people sitting up here defending our history? Because even they know it's some wrong that's been done, bro. Why are we the only ones that deny?
I'm tired of black people crying.
Let me hop in real quick. I'm on the train.
So real culture is just trauma. That's all it is now. Black culture is just trauma.
Let's whine and bitch and cry and moan about our trauma.
I agree with that. But real quick, Queen. I'm sorry, King. The thing is, you keep saying we're denying history. Nobody's denying the history. Nobody's omitting it. We're saying we're moving the fuck forward from it. We can't change the history. It is what it is. And if you, me, Sig, and a lot of other black people come on this app talk about how successful we are, then why the fuck we keep talking about history when we tell the people who are actually struggling? As a matter of fact, we do so good now that I don't meet black people struggling. I meet black people talk about other black people struggling, which is so fucking crazy. But if we're doing... Let me finish real quick, because I'm about to get on the train. If that's the case, then that means we made enough progress to where we don't have to keep looking back at the past. Right now, in my own lifetime, if I was a millionaire at 20, and I lost my money at 30, and I got it back good at 40, why the fuck am I talking about what my dad did and he was there as a child? Like, I'm capable of doing more. I don't have to keep referring on the past, because you've seen me go through cycles. So we seen black people who actually went through oppression achieve and succeed. None of us are doing what our ancestors struggled with, and that's what we're saying. Let's move forward.
None of us are going through Jim Crow. None of us are affected by Jim Crow laws or anything like that. The black culture is not even black anymore. It's all about crying, whining, bitching, moaning about slavery, about Jim Crow, and about all this shit that never even happens to us. Black people are living a good life, okay? And all these people that say, oh yeah, I have a white friend too, okay? But you don't uplift and talk about all the white people that are doing great things for black people. You don't talk about the Jews that stand side by side with Martin Luther King on the bridge. You don't talk about all of that. The narrative you just want to put out is that white people are the devil and black people are these victims that nobody came to rescue. You know what the real atrocity of your community right now? It's child support. Okay, you talk about raping and pillaging your families and taking everything you have and everything you've worked for. You talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay, you talk about that stuff, but you don't want to talk about child support. Okay, because it's okay for a woman that you impregnate to reject your leadership, to reject your position in your home, kick you out of your own house, and actually take $1,000 instead a month. Okay, that is actually crazy.
Hey yo.
Insane.
Also, King.
Go ahead, man. Go.
You gotta recognize that Major General Gordon Granger, which was from the North, came down and finally 2 years later, after the Emancipation Proclamation was done, actually let you guys know that you were free 2 years before, that you had the opportunity to do anything you wanted, and yet the Democrats are the ones that kept you. The Northern Republicans are the ones who let you know you were free. Abraham Lincoln let you know you're free. And that's the thing, you don't look at your history and thank the white people who did it. The Northern white, Abraham Lincoln, Major General Gordon Granger.
I love that he said that. See, a lot of people don't know the history. I see I'm talking to a lot of people that don't know the history. Even with Abraham Lincoln, his plight was not to free the slaves. Dude,
but he did.
Hold on one second.
He did.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. See, I'm about to do the history with him. See, a lot of people don't want to know the truth about Abraham Lincoln.
Yes,
see,
he
the
had
problem
slaves
is,
in one
let me tell you something.
But yes, he did free them.
A lot of people don't.
He only did it to end the war.
Let's tell the truth tonight. Let's tell the truth today.
He did have slaves.
Abraham Lincoln did not want to free the slaves, y'all. I want you to know.
That's why he did the Emancipation Proclamation. He was the one that the Emancipation Proclamation.
Hey, yo, Nah. Hey, yo, Nah. I just talk like this. I read. I know my history, Nah. He can't just come up and tell me bullshit, Nah.
I read the same history you do.
Okay, well, Cool C, hold on. One mic on King. Sorry I'm quiet. I'm working, actually.
Nah, you good.
So, yeah, but because King has a point. A lot of people don't know the history of today. If y'all would let him kind of finish what he was going to say about Abe Lincoln, because I know we have some folks.
It's all good.
All right, go ahead, Cool C.
We know that he had slaves. He actually freed them under the Emancipation Proclamation. Every president except for Donald Trump's family had slaves. Even Obama's family. It's all history. And it's crazy that we talk about this, but you got to realize the Republicans are the ones who did it. You got to look at the Democrats here who then put Margaret Sanger in place. Like you talked about that lady being hung upside down and the baby being forced on the ground. Margaret Sanger came into your own community
phone breaking up on my side, brother. I don't know if it's just...
Yeah, we can't hear you, sir.
Man, you know Abraham Lincoln ain't want to free the slaves, man. Essentially, we should be thanking black soldiers for the fact that black people free.